Welcome back to Bros in a Landfill, now with 60% more potassium.
Today, lacking sleep and our resident dad, Dizzy,
How am I a dad?
our second host, Tar,
Yo.
and then there's me, the man of the hour, the guy behind this whole terrible podcast, this piece of trash junk, Try. And today, we will be talking about things. Will it be good? Will it be trash? Probably the latter, but hey, we'll take it from there. So, you two lovely gentlemen, do you have anything that you're particularly interested in talking about today?
I do not believe so. If we were not doing our original plan of is this actually trash,
Well, yes, this podcast is trash already.
is now the part where I rant about SMBA?
Do you want to talk about Super Monkey Ball Adventure? Go ahead. I think it's perfect for the first episode.
Great. So, wait, except I just used the word rant, so you know how I feel about this. This was originally supposed to be a thing where,
It doesn't
like,
matter. Hey, people rant positively about things.
You said before you even began that you hated it, so it's not like you could really trick us.
Right, like I knew you. Well, thanks. I knew you guys were going to know my opinions on it, but the audience didn't. But now they do, so now this is pointless.
Hey, we had to do this eventually. It was going to be a meme. So,
Wait, what was going to be a meme?
Oh, Super Monkey Ball Adventure.
Oh, I don't think it was going to be a meme. I'm actually pretty sure everyone, including the developers, wanted it to die in a fiery blaze. I wanted to use different words there, but my brain did not work.
So the moral of the story is that we don't actually want to talk about Super Monkey Ball Adventure because it's obvious it's a terrible game. Now, something that's currently been on my mind because of a little debate I've been having on the Ace Attorney Online's Discord is Pokemon Sun and Moon, the anime. Have either of you seen it?
I
Oh,
played
boy.
both games.
Can you say that again?
I played both games. Sun and Moon 1 was far superior to Ultra Sun and Moon.
Yeah, I haven't finished Ultra Sun and Moon.
I
But-
haven't even started Ultra Moon yet.
So I assume both of you have played through Sun and Moon, the game.
I have played a part of Sun. I am starting to turn myself off to the Pokemon, like the standard handheld games, in favor of Pokemon Showdown.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I'm when it comes to the games, I'm casual with Pokemon. I've never really been fond of the format of the games. It was something I liked when I was a kid, but as I grew up, I grew to like more complex RPGs such as Shin Megami Tensei.
I wrote
Pokemon's
I wrote an entire DSY rewrite of Pokemon Moon.
That sounds
so I think that should show
amazing.
It's a story that's basically me completely taking the base plot and doing something completely different with it.
That's
Oh
interesting.
boy.
We should definitely have that as a topic one of these times.
It'd just be
Why not now?
self-indulgent. It'd just be self-indulgent rambling, and I'll tell you why not now. Because Try was getting to a point before he got off topic about a conversation he was having about the anime.
Yep.
Oh,
So,
true.
Let's not lose
so
focus.
the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime is a pretty interesting case of a production company taking a story into a completely separate direction. Have you guys seen the original Pokemon anime or any of the older seasons?
I have, but I don't remember anything from it.
Don't worry.
Except
it's
for the time where Misty was hypnotized into thinking she was a seal.
I don't remember that.
I remember there was a part in episode 2 of the entire franchise where Ash got stuck in like a stalemate Pokemon battle with a Metapod versus a Pinsir, and then at one point it just randomly cut to Misty sunbathing in a bikini, and then it cut back
I'm
to
sure
the fight.
Yeah. See, I really started watching the anime back during the Hoenn arc. That's because that was what was on TV when I started watching it, and I particularly liked the I forget what they're called. That they're the like the shows they do where they have like Pokemon doing moves and they're supposed to be all pretty, and I liked the pretty
contests?
Like the
effects.
Pokemon contests.
Yeah, the Pokemon contest. So that was what I particularly liked, but over time I think it was I watched up from Battle Adventure through uh it was black like some part through Black and White, and I just dropped it after that because it was just too repetitive for its own good. But recently I've picked up Sun and Moon, the anime, which in the English release is in like I think episode 60 or something. I'm a bit behind, but I'm honestly surprised, and it's definitely an interesting case of like it's not the same show it used to be, and whether that's for a good change or a bad change is certainly debatable.
I have not seen a single thing of the Sun and Moon anime, so
Okay.
you're gonna have. I
know
know the
Got likes
animation
it.
style has taken a plunge in quality.
Actually, there's a debate. It's not that the animation's any worse. What they did is they made the the animation less detailed, so they can make it more animated. So, like, okay, I guess the best example is go into the Ace Attorney Discord and the Pokemon channel, because we've been having this debate, and Gott's been sharing gifs from the anime.
Dum
Yes.
dum dum.
Last I checked, Got likes the anime, I believe.
And just look at that and tell me that isn't just good animation, especially the one with Lana with the bat.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Definitely you can say a flaw of the newer seasons is that is very much a departure of the previous arcs. It's not as structured. It doesn't while it still has this overall adventure feel, it's much more a slice of life, and the stakes never really feel high. And Ash, while he wants to beat the Kahunas and do the island trials, it's never really the focus of the anime. It goes for more of a character-centric approach of each episode focused on a few characters doing something either silly or there's some emotional thing. Or as that one amazing gift shows, there's a baseball episode which is pretty phenomenal in my opinion. But yeah, Pokemon.
Yeah, I was also turned away from the anime in Black and White. I can't remember the exact reason why. I think it was because my sleep schedule was just fucked like it is now, and I just kept oversleeping.
Elnar and I would riff on Pokemon Generation 4's anime, the Diamond and Pearl anime, because
Oh my God.
Wasn't that one like really good?
It was awful.
Diamond and Pearl was terrible. Favorite game generation, least favorite anime.
Well, jeez. I mean, I guess I'm being a little hard. Don't get me wrong, it was bad, but I guess it wasn't like the worst of the worst. But it was bad, and it had nothing to do with Diamond and Pearl at all. I'll say that too. Like, nothing at all. They had like a character in the anime who had nothing to do, who didn't exist in the game universe. Team Galactic basically didn't show up until like the very end. I think Cyrus's goal was completely different anyways. It's like, it was so not Diamond and Pearl.
The Pokemon anime always has characters that are not exactly in the games.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
The side characters that show up for one episode and have their conflict. That's always existed.
Yeah. Speaking of the game stories being translated in the anime, I will say one of my gripes with Sun and Moon is that I know the Pokemon anime is delivered towards kids, but I remember the Sun and Moon plot in particular like while being simple, definitely had some heart and was well told. I really feel like they dropped the ball adapting that story in the anime.
They dropped the ball with Ultra Sun and Moon because they made every character completely meaningless by overstuffing the turkey with too much shit.
Well, that's Nintendo for you in general. Like they'll take or remakes of games in general. Like they take something that's good and
remakes in general do that. Really, looking at you, Atlas.
Yeah, I'm on Atlas. Like, as much as I love the new content in Shin Megami Tensei: Strange Journey, it did not need to have 3 more endings at all. I could have done with 1 more ending and it would have been fine. Those last 2 replays were just god awful.
I feel like Under Night in Birth EXE latest was probably a remake done right, because like it doesn't really add anything to each individual character's story. However, it does build upon the entire lore of the series, which was incredibly lacking in EXE late. And there's 4 new characters. I want it so bad.
I think the worst part with the Shin Megami Tensei remakes is that they've recently gone into a habit of, in the mainline games, showing each ending you've completed on a save file. So if you want to have all of, like, the endings show up and credit for each of the endings, you have to restart the game. You can't just, I'm going to save before this major choice, do this choice, go back and play the other choice. You have to.
I mean, you can technically.
I mean, you technically can, but if you want credit for it.
Oh, that's not really a new thing either, Tar. I mean, try. They've been doing that since Devil Survivor. Devil Survivor, just the first one.
I know. It was really frustrating in something like Shin Megami Tensei 4, because in Apocalypse you got bonuses for each 4 ending you had on your save file. And so that means
how many endings do SMT games usually have?
Usually around 4.
Yeah, I think 3 has I think 6 endings.
Shin Megami Tensei 3? Shin Megami Tensei 3 has 5 endings, I believe. You can either destroy the world, recreate it one of 3 ways, or you can completely shit the bed and fuck up everything.
Yeah. I think it also has one of those, I know 4 has this. 4 has an ending in the middle of the game, which is the nihilism ending, which you're just oh, hey, if you destroy this thing, the world will literally end in a black hole. You probably shouldn't do it. There's an ending where you can choose to destroy it and get it a premeditated ending, and it's still my favorite ending in the game.
Well,
kind of like Ebe.
I've never played Ebe.
You never played Ebe?
There's too many games, so little time.
I was gonna say, by the way, Tar, in case you were wondering, the ending in Shin Megami Tensei 3, where you just completely ruin everything, is actually kind of hilarious as video game endings go, or Japanese RPG endings go, because pretty much the only thing that you can do, the only option available to you, is to kill the most powerful creatures that still exist. But in doing so, you completely doom the world to never being put back together, because they were the only people that could have done it, and you killed them. So
lovely.
Yeah, so
actually,
it's just complete irony. It's you wanted to save the world, but in doing so, you completely screwed it.
Luckily, we have Sonic the Hedgehog, and he's a werewolf now, or a hog wolf rather. Because
that's the best Sonic game, and I don't want you shitting on Sonic Unleashed, because that's the best Sonic game ever.
I actually never played Sonic Unleashed.
Yeah, I played the Wii
version.
version. It's not that good, but watching the Game Grumps play it is absolutely hilarious.
I'm gonna have to do that because I love Game Grumps Sonic playthroughs.
Yes, so their Sonic Unleashed playthrough is pretty top tier.
Are we talking about Pokemon?
Yeah, we're talking about Pokemon.
I had Sonic Colors.
Sonic's my favorite Pokemon.
Sonic is my favorite Pokemon too.
This is totally not a reference to Sonichu, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
No.
There is I think a 2-hour YouTube video called the Sonichu lecture by the Procrastinators podcast, and it is glorious. It explains everything you ever need to know about Sonichu. It is great. I can't recommend it enough.
Is there anything to do?
Okay.
Anyways, Pokemon. So the biggest downside of the Pokemon anime is that it doesn't handle the overall plot of Sun and Moon the best. Despite it having some phenomenal individual episodes, there's a infamously sad episode that still gets me every time I think about it.
Well, hold on a sec there then.
Yeah.
Because it's like, an adaptation not being faithful is not necessarily a bad thing in of itself. It depends on the things that are changed and how severe they are. For example, an adaptation that I will never stop complaining about, except when I stop complaining about it because it's been a long time, was when they took Devil Survivor 2 and they turned it into an anime. And the reason the adaptation sucked so bad was because not only was it different from the game, it was the complete opposite of everything that was supposed to be happening. It went, like, completely the other direction to the point where it was unrecognizable. So I'm saying, is Pokemon Sun and Moon's anime, like, is the difference as bad solely because it's different from the game, or is
Well, it's
the
not because it's
differences
different.
just different?
There are certain differences that drop that decrease the emotional weight that the game has. For example, there's this subplot which, on its own, is actually pretty good, which is Lily. Lily has a fear of Pokemon touching her and touching Pokemon and Pokemon in general that deals with her anime backstory, which in itself is good. Like, there are some good changes like that, but then the relationship between Lily and her mom is not handled as well, and I guess it depends. I guess it depends on your opinion on certain things. In the Sun and Moon game, Lily's mom isn't that redeemable of a character. She's kind of, at least like in Sun and Moon, not Ultra Sun and Moon. I haven't gone that far in that game.
In Ultra Sun and Moon, she makes absolutely no sense at all.
It's probably the Ultra Sun and Moon. It's probably just an adaptation of Ultra Sun and Moon in that regards. Because her...
I'm not sure. You'll have to explain her to me.
Because in the anime, she is an overly obsessive, doting mother. And she can't stop, bothering Lily. And
she kind of... I haven't gotten far enough in Vanilla Sun and Moon to meet her, but from what I've seen, she actually kind of seems like that in the first place.
Well, she does, but they put so much focus and emphasis on her, and it makes her actions not make sense because she's putting people in danger, and she's,
That doesn't sound like either of hers if we're going off of my understanding. She didn't, she in Sun and Moon, she basically said, fuck you, Lily, I don't want you in my life.
Yeah.
Get the fuck
we're
out.
In, the whole way that they beat her is by having her remember that she loved, basically having Lily do the "I'm your daughter and I love you" shtick.
I remember them beating her by literally beating her.
Yeah, no, in the climatic battle, it's a thing is we don't want to hurt her and her Pokemon too much because they're Lily's friends.
And are we talking about the same game?
We're talking about the anime. The anime really waters down the climax, and yes, they end up beating her using
the power of friendship.
Well, basically, Ash has a thunder stone thing that for the ultra moves, and
the Z stone.
It gets turned into the Pikachunium, so he can for one time he can use Pikachu's special Z move, and that's how they defeat her. But it's built up as through the most part, they're weakening her through remembering who she is, which kind of, as a kid's show, is fine, but it kind of waters down the plot and her character to. It doesn't really make sense why she's doing it in the first place outside of obsessive love of Ultra Beasts.
Yeah, yeah, neither of you finished Ultra Sun and Moon, so that I did though, so that's even funnier to me, because in Ultra Sun and Moon, Lusamini was completely rewritten, what I guess is a third time now, if you're telling me she was rewritten for the anime.
Yeah, yeah.
Lus-
You can spoil me on Ultra Sun and Moon. I'm not too
Ultra...
bothered by Pokemon.
Okay, well,
Pokemon literally spoils everything before every generation released anyway. So go ahead and launch into it.
I mean, like in Sun and Moon, you knew like it was so obvious that they basically spoiled at the beginning that there was something fishy with the Aether Foundation.
Ultra Sun
I
and Moon...
don't remember that, but because I
Like-
wasn't even.
Well, it's like at the beginning of the game, Lily's running away with
Cosmog.
Oh yeah.
Cosmog.
Here's the thing about Ultra Sun and Moon that makes Lusamini make no sense at all in any context. In Sun and Moon, the original, vanilla Sun and Moon, Lusamini was the antagonist. In the anime, you're telling me she was also the antagonist. In Ultra Sun and Moon...
No. Okay, in Ultra Sun and Moon, she's not really the antagonist.
In
She just
Ultra
gets
Sun and
taken
Moon-
over by it.
No, in Ultra Sun
She's
and
like-
Moon, Lusamini is completely irrelevant from everything. It was never did anything wrong except for all the horrible things she did wrong.
Well, yeah, no,
Lusamini is
she's
not in any way evil.
yeah, no. In the anime, she's not evil in any way either. She's just
No,
she
no,
just
no.
is really obsessed with Ultra Beasts, and when an Ultra wormhole opens up, she goes inside it, and then when she goes inside, the thing attaches itself to her, and it
That doesn't happen in
basically-
Ultra Sun and Moon. Ultra Sun and Moon basically has Lusamini and the Aether Foundation being sneaky and secretive and hush-hush, and you reveal the terrible secret is that in this universe of Ultra Sun and Moon, Lusamini actually hates the Ultra Beasts, and then she enters a portal, but then she gets kicked out of it. She never merges with anything, and she also eventually just kind of says, oh no, Lily was right, I am weak, oh no. And then Lily does nothing, and then you go and beat up Necrozma, the end. And Lusamini never goes in, she never goes into a coma, she never fuses with a beast, she's
So-
just stupid.
So it sounds like to me that the
Aether
game-
Foundation has
well,
no
that the-
evil secrets.
it sounds like the anime actually did a better job with their story than the Ultra Sun and
Ultra
Moon.
Sun and Moon. Yeah. So it's Sun and Moon, then beneath it is the anime, then beneath it is Ultra Sun and Moon.
Yeah, because basically what the anime does is like to make her seem make her quote unquote evil. That when she merges, as a protection, as a measure to protect itself, the Ultra Beast kind of controls her mind to make her like a toddler who's like a bratty toddler who doesn't want to be separated from the Ultra Beast and sees everybody as enemies who wants to separate her from the Ultra Beasts. And that's
Yeah.
basically how
That's-
evil. And everything evil in the organization that's happening is not her fault. It's it's the other guy with the
Baba?
the weird hair. What's his
Guzma?
face?
Yeah, his name is
No,
Faba.
not Guzma. The Baba. Yeah,
Baba.
Baba. Yeah.
My problem with that is
Faba,
that
yeah.
no one likes
The-
Faba, so
the-
the fact that he could round up the entire foundation behind him is unusual.
Yeah. So like everything bad that happened in the organization was Faba's fault, and they forgive him afterwards, even though he's done atrocities.
Yeah, in Ultra Sun and Moon, it's super bizarre because Lusamini still has her evil smiles, and she still has her secretism, and she still has her underground bases, and she still made type null units, and she still cryogenically froze Pokemon. But she never fuses with the Ultra Beasts. She never, like does any of that stuff. She completely just comes out and says, "Oh no, I was wrong," after being beaten. Not even by the player. The player never even fights her. She's just, oh no!
Here's the thing about the anime. Lusamine knew nothing about Type Null or the cryogenically frozen Pokemon. That was all Faba's doing, and she was oblivious to everything.
In Ultra Sun and Moon, she definitely knew what she was doing, but no one else did, because it's like, why would you do all this evil stuff if you are not evil? And then why is the resolution to your story basically you just kind of shrugging and then going, oh well, I guess I should leave it up to the 10-year-old.
But I think it comes back to this.
Why is any resolution in anime, I'm going to leave it up to the 10-year-old?
I'm talking about the game. I don't want to talk about the anime.
Because it's power fantasy for 10-year-olds.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
true.
Let me say this about Sun and Moon, the original. At least Lusamini was actually the villain. At least, like, her secretism and all of her stuff built up to the fact that she was, insane and controlling and all this stuff. Here, where she's none of those things, it makes all of her actions make no sense.
Lusamine and Lily's arcs actually made a lot of sense and really worked in the original Sun and Moon. That's something I can definitely agree with. And then how that played in with Guzma's arc was really interesting. It was a very
I forgot they messed up Guzma in Ultra Sun and Moon too.
what? Oh, I want to hear this story.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
Discord is cutting out so bad on my end.
Well, see, that's
Ultra
why we
Sun and-
record the Audacity separate.
I forgot to mention, on top of all the things Lusamini did that no longer make sense now that she is not in any way evil, she also teamed up with Team Skull to try to help destroy the Ultra Beast to save Alola, and Guzma completely agreed because for no conceivable reason. He hates Alola, and he hates Alola traditions, and he built Team Skull to rebel against them, and then Lusamini's like, help us save Alola and its traditions, and he's like, okay! And then after you save the world, the Guzma's like, alright, I'm shutting down Team Skull. I guess I made them for the express purpose of saving Alola. Apparently, that's my new story.
Yep, because redemption arcs work like that.
It's not even a redemption arc. It's like, I guess he was never a bad guy at all, because he was always fighting against the Ultra Beast to save Alola, despite the fact he hates Alola and terrorized them and took over a city. And also Team Skull hates people, and they've been messing with people because they hate people, and pretty much the only villain in the game is Necrozma. And Necrozma isn't even evil, he's just a wild animal.
That's how life works sometimes. You gotta put down the wild animal.
I guess, but it's weird.
It's like if Mewtwo was the big bad in the entirety of the first Pokemon game.
Wasn't he the big bad? Oh wait, the entirety of the game.
No,
sorry about that.
He's just
Mewtwo was just a victim of Team Rocket.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't he the big bad of the entire first movie?
Yeah.
He was cooler in the first movie than Necrozma.
The big bad of the first movie was Pokemon Tears.
Necrozma sucks.
Because they are literally God that can bring people back to life.
Necrozma sucks. That's the takeaway. Ultra Sun and Moon has an inferior story. Oh, speaking of inferior stories, Sun and Moon is a story, at least to me, about Lily, Gladden, and Lusamini. Everyone else is just kind of side characters. They're the main focus.
I think that's
That
fine.
makes sense.
Ultra Sun and Moon is a story exclusively about How and no one else.
What?
Ultra Sun and Moon is a story about How and no one else. Lily is inconsequential in her own game. You know that part in Sun and Moon? You know that part in Sun and Moon after you first fight Lusamini and then Lily gets a new clothing and she's like, I'm gonna be my own Z-powered self, and she goes with you to Executor Island and it's like all dramatic and stuff and she's gonna express that she loves you or something? Yeah, Ultra Sun and Moon. Lily puts on her new clothes and then she doesn't do anything else for the rest of the game. She doesn't even go to the island with you. She does nothing.
She did become her own character away from the plot of this game.
She got pulled by a string the rest of the game and did nothing. Nothing she did after that amounted to anything. Even her summoning the legendary Pokemon didn't help because legendary Pokemon got slammed into the ground like a bully, giving a guy a swirly, and then got bored. And that's pretty much it. Lily accomplished nothing in Ultra Sun and Moon. She just got
We have gone 2 weeks without using the forbidden word.
Well, F you.
So let's move on to positives about Sun and Moon, because people start getting the impression that...
There's plenty of positives about Sun and Moon. There's no reason to buy Ultra Sun and Moon.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not saying there's a reason to buy Ultra Sun and Moon. I'm talking about specifically the anime because I've done a pretty good job of shitting on its overarching plot.
I think I just tore apart Ultra Sun and Moon.
For a lot of people, that's going to be a turnoff if the overarching plot is kind of just shit. But hearing that it's not as bad as the actual Ultra Sun and Moon game is a plus.
Is it based on Sun and Moon or is it based on Ultra Sun and Moon?
I think it's its own thing. I think the anime is it uses the Sun and Moon as a basis and
as a springboard.
Yeah, apparently later because in the Japanese release they start actually hunting the Ultra Beast, so I'm interested in seeing where that goes. But
Ash is gonna become a poacher.
one of the cool things about the Sun and Moon anime is how it just gives no fucks about the plot and is just like, hey, these are kids who have Pokemon, and this is a world that uses Pokemon for literally everything. Let's explore it. Like they have like Pokemon's playing baseball with their trainers. They have Pokemon races. There's weird cooking episodes. There's like depressing episodes, and there's the occasional let's go to another island and do an island challenge or something. But it's weird because when you grow up watching Pokemon, and you expect this formula of, hey, let's go around and beat these gym leaders, walk through forests, and have shenanigans happen. It's like, no, let's just be chill, have some laughs, and be just a fun show altogether.
Yeah, I think you did say that Sun and Moon was more slice of lifey the other than the other generations anime.
Yeah, it's not entirely just a slice of life, but since it still has some of its battle structure and it's the overall adventure. Like there is an overarching plot to some degree, but it really takes its time with its characters to build them, to grow them, and it's something I really appreciate about Sun and Moon because in some of the previous seasons, the only times you ever had moments where the other characters grew is if it was, oh, I'm like, for example, I guess like Misty in the first season, the main time you got any character development for her was whenever it had to do with Misty's home gym and her sisters. That's the most you got insight into her life. Where in like in the anime of Sun and Moon, like all the characters, like you're frequently going to see people's families, how the islands interact with each other. It feels like a real place with a real sense of community, and it's pretty well planned and developed. It feels like you could go there and like just it feels like a real world, and I really appreciate that.
I feel like I just had something to say, but I just lost it.
I was gonna say, upon thinking about, I don't really remember much of the Pokemon anime, but one thing I do remember that kind of stands out when you bring it up about this whole like seeing people do stuff for their Pokemon is that for most of the animes up to this point, it was just Ash out on the road where there wasn't even anyone except for his immediate friends to converse with. So having a more broader cast of people to converse with also opens the door for more mundane activities that aren't really mundane because you've never seen them before in this situation. Because instead of being surrounded by nothingness, Ash is surrounded by people.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things. And they don't have to rely on Team Rocket being evil and Team Rocket causing Ash trouble every other episode because
every episode.
Every episode because they don't need to. When Team Rocket shows up, they barely like have any like interaction with Ash, and if they do, it's a short one-off thing. You actually get to explore their characters more and explore just how big of fuck-ups they are, and it's pretty fun.
I was gonna say, do they become any more competent? I think I remember, like, weren't they, like, actually competent in the black and white anime? And it was like, oh shit, they're a threat now.
The problem is I didn't actually watch the black and white anime. I stopped like after competent. What's interesting about Team Rocket in this series compared to previous ones is that it really takes a focus on them trying to make ends meet. It's got like this Ed and Eddie feel of them, like, oh, what get rich quick scheme are they doing this week, and how are they gonna fuck that up? And every so often they'll bump into Ash and be like, oh, hey, it's the Twerps, let's steal their Pokemon. But it's not their life's mission to hunt down Ash or anything. And in terms of this season, it actually makes a lot of sense because they're in new territory. They are cut off from the rest of Team Rocket, and they have to be able to survive to be able to even hunt down the Twerps.
Was that the entire reason they wanted Ash's Pikachu in the first place, just so they could sell it for money?
Well, they wanted Ash's Pikachu to show off to the boss and basically get, like, because it's supposed to be like a special Pikachu, they wanted it would give them rank in the organization. That's why they focus so hard on it.
Even though that Pikachu was just a punk at first and not worth going after.
That
Basically.
Pikachu was Son Goku.
Well, see that Pikachu has protagonist syndrome, and
Oh,
and if
true.
they were able to steal that Pikachu, they'd be able to become protagonists of their own show, and rake in all the dough.
True. I forgot protagonists.
There's just so many
My
clever.
B.
There's just so many clever running jokes with Team Rocket and their dynamics. Like, remember in the original Pokemon how like I think it was in the Johto region, he got James got a Vileplume that kept trying to eat him.
Victory Bell?
Yeah, Victory Bell. Like Victory Bell just kept trying to eat him, and that was the entire joke.
Vileplume? I
think it
think
was
you're thinking Victory Bell, not Vileplume.
Victory Bell. Yeah, it was Victory Bell. How the only real running joke was that Victory Bell was trying to eat James.
James.
Yeah, that was like the only thing in the original Pokemon, because in Sun and Moon, like each Pokemon has a weird quirk or whatever. Jesse catches a Mimikyu that has a deep resentment of Pikachu, and whenever he sees one, basically goes on a rampage trying to kill it. James kisses a Marini that likes to poison him, and has basically fallen in love with James's face when it's poisoned because it looks like a male Marini.
Oh, lovely.
There's a Beware that they don't really catch, but gets attached to them, and will always try to bring them back to his tree hideout, and that's kind of replaced the blasting off again.
I think I knew about the Beware.
Yeah. And when you once you think it gets tiresome or they've exhausted everything, they do something really clever with Beware coming out of nowhere, and you're like, oh, is this finally going to be the time where they get to blast off? Nope, they're blasting off, and then Beware just jumps out of nowhere, grabs them, and just runs off into the distance.
Doesn't in game Pokemon lore, wouldn't that snap their spines?
Yes.
Probably. Yeah, absolutely. And then of course Wobbuffet and Meowth are still there, but they're key staples of Team Rocket at this point.
They're the classic examples of what not to do.
Yeah.
The entire reason Team Rocket keeps them around is to laugh at them.
I think one of the cool things about Sun and Moon is that it's just got this raw energy behind it where, compared to previous seasons, it feels like the team behind it has a sense of freedom and can do what they want and have fun with the show rather than being constricted to this very generic formulated structure where they have to meet certain quotas within the story. I feel like the story really suffers when they're trying to fit in the overarching plot, but when they can just do some random one-off episode where the characters are shitting around, for example, there's one of the new characters is in the Sun and Moon, you have a Rotom Dex.
Yep.
He's a character who's honestly probably one of the worst parts of the show because he's really annoying, and I don't know if it's just because of the English performance, but there'll be some episodes where, there's one episode where he does an entire parody of a detective show because he's a really fan of this.
Oh, this sounds amazing.
He's a fan of this show called Alolan Detective Locky, and he will always be quoting it. He'll put on this blonde wig and be like, it's like a case for Alolan Detective Rotom Dex, and just make terrible deductions and honestly drag on the show a little longer than it actually needs to be. And if you're into cringe humor, you might honestly love Rotom Dex. But I think that for me, that just hits a level of cringe that hurts a little too much.
I think I probably wouldn't be able to handle that either because I have low cringe tolerance.
Yeah, but for me, I generally just tune out whenever Rotom Dex is on the screen. There was an interesting episode recently where Rotom Dex there was a Rotom washing machine that was delivered to Ash's house, the professor's house by mistake, and it's there was an electrical surge that caused the washing machine Rotom to get injected into the Rotom Dex, and Rotom from the Rotom Dex was sent free, and it basically it ended in this series of shenanigans where this Rotom, like the Rotom in the Rotom Dex, didn't know it, like how it was a Rotom, like what it was supposed to do as a Rotom Dex. It deleted the entire, like, all the data inside the Rotom Dex, and then Rotom was going around trying to find Ash to explain the situation, but he kept getting put into other electronic appliances, fucking them up, not being able to communicate with Ash because the only because the Rotom Dex was special in regards to being able to translate Pokemon speech to human speech, or like Rotom speech to human speech. So it's just this entire series of shenanigans where Rotom Dex is fucking everything up as he's trying to find Ash.
Damn it, Smogon Laundromat.
Basically. And that was my favorite Rotom episode, personally.
I think Rotom should possess a toaster and then go take a bath.
Yep. So basically, I'm saying is if you have access to Disney XD, you should watch Pokemon Sun and Moon. Even if you don't like the overall plot, there are just some very strong episodes where you're like, that wasn't a waste of time that I thought it was going to be.
I mean, yeah, we got like 30 minutes left of this cast.
Yeah. So, since we're not doing it live, we don't have any Q&A stuff.
We do not have Q&A stuff.
Let me just ping everybody in the Discord and see if I can get people say, everyone, ask us questions.
Well, hang on. Do we even have...
I don't have the Q&A set up.
We have 3 people in the room right now other than us, and I'm pretty sure one of them is not going to... Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm just doing. So people can just start. So let's start off with this. Just a quick question that I have. What's your favorite Pokemon game?
Gen 5, Black and White.
What about you, Dizzy?
Because it introduced Hydreigon, and Hydreigon is my favorite.
Okay. I can see that.
My favorite's probably Leaf Green. My second favorite's Black and White, which is funny because when it was brand new, I hated it, and then it grew on me.
Did you hate the ice cream, Mon?
No, I hated it because it was different, and then I thought about it, and I was like, wait, this is actually good because it's different.
That's going to be interesting as we lead into our next question, but my favorite one, and this might just be pure nostalgia, is Diamond and Pearl.
I don't really like Diamond and Pearl that much. Maybe it's because, like, I didn't really have good access to resources, or because I was, like... Because that was my first game and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing.
See, that was the first game of mine that I was able to beat without cheating. I remember I got I think Pokemon Ruby when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I did not know what the fuck I was doing at all.
I don't think I've ever needed to cheat to beat a Pokemon game.
Yeah, no, I'm a casual gamer. I'm not good at video games, especially when I was that old. I didn't understand the whole, like, trading and catching new Pokemon. It was bad.
When someone thinks I'm not a casual gamer, it gets worrisome.
Wait, you're telling me you put, like, over 500 hours into Persona 5 and you're not a casual gamer?
I'm a jobless loser who didn't bother doing his homework at school because I had more important things to be doing, i.e. Persona 5.
So, can we all agree that our favorite Pokemon game is Persona 4?
No. Persona
I have
3
yet to
was
play
better.
any Persona games.
Don't bother, Tar. It's a waste of time.
Yeah. Once you start, you're contractually obligated to play every game, and then that's just like years of your life gone.
Not really. It's just I don't think you'd get the same thing out of it that we do. I think you'd get bored, actually, Tar, and I think you'd just give up.
The only Persona game I can really recommend for a casual, like someone new coming in, is Persona 4 The Golden on an easier difficulty. Like, if you've never played a Shin Megami Tensei game before, I'd just say Persona 4 on an easier difficulty.
I mean, really, any Shin Megami Tensei game is when you think all it just takes is a little perseverance, and you can basically beat any game.
Well, the hardest thing about a Shin Megami Tensei game is the first 10 hours.
That's the entire game.
Okay, the first game maybe. It depends on if you've played a game with played a SMT with similar mechanics. I think the hardest part really is creating your broken team and getting ahead of the curve and figuring out how to break the mechanics.
Okay, guys. We got one.
Okay. What's your favorite Pokemon?
I already said Hydreigon, although I just like the Dino line in general because look at Dino. Dino is just way more adorable than he has any right to be.
I can't
and I
deny
feel
that.
bad for him.
I can't deny that. My personal favorite, this is more of a nostalgia one, but it's Blaziken. That was my first starter level, third form, and it just holds a close place in my heart.
What about you, DSY?
None of them.
No, none of them? You don't like any Pokemon?
Well, I don't really have a favorite, I guess.
Okay, I will say more recently, my new favorite might actually be Rowlet because he's just so fucking adorable with that bow tie.
I think Hydreigon might also be upended by Toxapex very soon. I haven't really had a chance to use him or catch him, but he just looks battle-wise, I mean, he looks like he's just the most amazing thing ever.
I can see that.
Is that the evolution of that Marini?
Yes.
Mermini
Yeah.
Pokemon?
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah. It's a Alolan Ferrothorn.
Let me give you a quick little piece of advice. Buy 99 adrenaline orbs, otherwise you're not gonna get that thing. The only way to get it is to bully a Corsola for 10 hours.
Ouch.
Yeah, I hear it's supposed to be pretty hard to obtain.
The worst part, it wouldn't be so bad, except for the fact that Corsola and most Pokemon only call for help when their HP is red, and Corsola spams recovery, so you need to just keep whacking it with false swipe, and then using adrenaline orbs on it so it'll keep crying for help, and then you have to kill the Corsola that show up to help it until finally a Marini shows up.
That reminds me when I was grinding for a Salazzle.
That sounds like torture.
Yeah, I eventually got it. What was Salazzle's pre-evolution form?
Salandit.
Yeah, Salandit. Getting a female Salandit was probably one of the things that almost ruined Pokemon for me. I almost just gave up on the spot.
Oh, Sleuth got one of those, and you'll never guess how.
How?
She just found one. Just a female one. She caught it. She didn't think anything of it, and then she looked it up eventually later, and she was like, "Oh, huh? I guess I got super lucky. How about that?"
Here's me. I caught a Salandit, and I didn't realize that only the female one evolved. So I had a level 40 Salandit male. I'm just shit, fuck. I think this is embarrassing.
I heard horror stories about Wonder Trade, and someone was generous enough to give a shiny Salandit.
Oh.
Except it was level 100 and male.
Ouch. That's the worst.
I gave level 1 Pokemon I got from eggs on Wonder Trade, and I got in return an infinite number of Bidoofs.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Well, Bidoof is the best Pokemon.
I mean, I didn't really care because I wasn't really expecting anything. If anything, I was lucky to just get a bunch of Bidoofs because then I could tell the story later.
Yep, that's very true. Speaking of shinies, have you guys ever even encountered a shiny Pokemon in a Pokemon game?
I have 5 in total, although 2 of them are handed to you on silver platters. I have the shiny Gyarados in Soul Silver. I have the shiny Garchomp you get as a prize for beating, what was it, Black Tower? And then I have 3 shinies in X and Y that I caught legit. I have a Durant, I have a a Klefki, and I have a Scolipede, which I grinded for because Scolipede is the best shiny. Fight me on this.
The best shiny is Garchomp, bro.
Yeah, outside of that, the red Gyarados and the Johto region, I have never even encountered a shiny Pokemon in the wild in all the years I've been playing Pokemon.
I found like a ton of shiny Pokemon. It's kind of ridiculous.
Try X and Y because the chance to encounter a shiny in X and Y is much greater.
No, dude, F that. Try Black and White too.
Well, first off, to play Black and White 2, I'd have to finish Black and White, which is my least favorite Pokemon game.
You don't have to finish Black and White. Trust me, Black and White 2 is nothing to do. You know what? To play Black and White 2, you must first fucking go through all the trials of the planet, so you can have the patience and fortitude, because Black and White 2 is the worst Pokemon game.
God. Black and White has been an experience for me, which let's move on to the topic of least favorite Pokemon game, which, as I've said for mine, is Black and White.
Ruby.
See, I haven't finished Omega.
Alpha Sapphire.
See,
All right,
Ruby
go
has
ahead,
a
try.
soft spot in my heart as my first Pokemon game, but granted, I've never ever finished replaying it on after I was 6 years old, so I don't have any objective standard of, or even proper subjective standard of how I feel about it. I just know that I think the reason why I hate Black and White so much is there's so much I actually love about the game. It's just there's certain aspects of it I absolutely hate, such as the region design. Fuck that.
You don't. Wait. Go on.
Yeah. Well, I forget. The Victory Road. Fuck the Victory Road. That's where I just stopped.
You don't like the Victory Road?
Really?
It's a lot less convolutedly laid out than Gen 4's Victory Road.
It's like the simplest Victory Road in the franchise. I'm surprised you had trouble with it.
Well, no.
All you need is strength.
I think for me, it was more of just, it was on principle. I just hated the design and hated the overall design, not artistic, but as a game of it just being this hill thing that you're going around and you're sliding down things. And in general, I don't like that in games. Regardless, I hate those types of sliding puzzles and working your way through. I'm trying to think how to explain it.
I don't know. I was gonna say my least favorite Pokemon games easily are Pokemon X and Y and Pokemon Alpha Sapphire.
I've never finished Alpha Sapphire, and I stopped around the same place as I stopped playing Emerald, so I don't know how much to say about that. I honestly hate the design of the Hoenn region, and I hate the way it makes you maneuver around it.
Well, I like the Hoenn region. It's just funny. It's because I like Generation 3 that I hate Alpha Sapphire, because I think it's the most unnecessary, disgusting, terrible remake of a game that is just so completely trash.
But Dizzy, HD trumpets.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Technically nothing needs to exist, but Alpha Sapphire is the epitome of this does not need to exist.
Oh no, it needs to exist for the sake of people will buy this and we'll make money off it, and we don't have to change that much.
No, they did change stuff, and they made it for the worst.
Yeah, well, I mean that's remakes.
They changed
in
stuff
general.
that made things the worst.
We need to make them a whole topic, an episode about how remakes are inherently worse.
And then my problem with Pokemon X and Y was that it was a game made for 5-year-olds. You were never not being told where you were supposed to go next. Every 5 seconds is go here, go here, go here, go here, go here. As you're going to the place you're supposed to go to, the game stops you to tell you to go to the place that you were going to.
X and Y is absolutely the easiest Pokemon game. I remember liking some of the overarching story beats, and liking the locations.
X and Y was the only Pokemon game I've never finished more than once, because I just could never bring myself to force myself through it more than one time.
There is no Pokemon game that I finished more than once.
I finished all of them except X and Y. I even finished Black and White 2, and I hate Black and White 2.
I think it just comes down to that I just don't like the aesthetic of the Pokemon games.
Explain.
Okay, so I've explained this to Dizzy about how I love the Shin Megami Tensei games regardless, even though the stories can be pretty cringe and edgy as fuck. especially the newer ones, and overall the game's being a major waste of time. But what keeps me going through is the aesthetic of the games, which I can do as a whole topic. I think my problem with Pokemon, and it comes down to my entire problem with JRPGs in general, is that I need something a little bit more out of my out of the battle mechanics. I think in something like Pokemon, if you're not playing it competitively, there's absolutely no reason to be dealing with the buffs, the debuffs. Like I feel like there's not too much strategy in the main game outside of get the strongest Pokemon and do the attacks. And Shin Megami Tensei, yes, that can be the case, but you have to work for those strong demons. You have to like fuse like numerous demons, which means you have to fill out your compendium. You have to do tons of side quests, and it's all in purpose of the greater narrative of strengthening yourself. And there's everything you're doing in the game.
See, I don't.
Yeah, I feel you about the whole competitive buffing. Like buffing is only
I completely
is only necessary and competitive. I know what I'm trying to say, but my mouth is not doing the thing.
I guess it comes down to Pokemon never feels like to me it's anything but having the strongest Pokemon in your team. Where Shin Megami Tensei, outside of like late game and like secondary playthroughs, like the first playthrough of a Shin Megami Tensei game is very much all about team composition and being as flexible as you can with your demons and being able to swap out on the fly to fit the situation as nice as you can. Where I feel like Pokemon is the battle mechanics in Pokemon are very shallow, and that kind of bores me to death.
Except they're trying to fix that.
I know, and I like that. I like that about Sun and Moon quite a bit. But
I mean, when I play Shin Megami Tensei, I always tend to just make a team that is purposable for all situations until I fuse a better team. So I'm basically playing it the same way that you feel Pokemon is played. But isn't that kind of the intrinsic beauty of a video game, that it can be played by like 4 or 5 or a billion different people, and they could all have something completely different to say about it? My question is, if you find Pokemon to be a chore to play, then why play it at all?
For me, like I've always found Pokemon to be a chore to play. What keeps me going for Pokemon is a story, and that's why I was actually able to finish Sun and Moon as easily as I was, because the story was as captivating as it was, and I felt that Sun and Moon had a lot of cool things about it that switched up the formula of the games, and it kept me invested. I think the introductions of the Z moves was cool, and there was definitely more options to play. And I think maybe to some degree, Shin Megami Tensei it allows you to play it in many different ways, and there's more flexibility in that regards. When you're playing the story of a Pokemon game, it's just attacking with the strongest Pokemon you can get, and it's not hard to get decent Pokemon.
I feel like they also tried to change that in Sun and Moon, because like the catch rates and encounter rates of some of those new Pokemon are just supposed to be insane. Like, I feel like the 3 most prudent examples are, like we already said, Marini. But
That's
what
not
about
really difficulty,
fucking?
though.
What about fucking Bruxish?
It just kind of feels like in both cases you're saying that it's just a bunch of busy work.
I guess that's right. I guess that's also true.
I mean, even in Shin Megami Tensei, you're basically saying, like, just get the biggest beat sticks, and it's just busy work to fill
part
out
of the thing with Shin
compendium.
Megami Tensei is there's a system of doing so. Like, you can't get demons that are higher than your base level, and then the best, at least in the more recent games, the best demons are locked behind side quests, and you have to complete those side quests to unlock them, and then you have to fuse them. And to some degree, I think the fusing of demons in Shin Megami Tensei is part of the aesthetic I really like. It means you don't have to hold on to the crappy demons you got at the beginning of the game, and they're in service to creating even stronger demons where everything has a purpose. Where in Pokemon, I end up with just PCs filled with Pokemon I'm not using just because
Gotta catch them all.
You gotta catch them all. Where Shin Megami Tensei forces you to do the fusions, otherwise you fill up your party with crappy demons that have terrible stat affinities and terrible attacks. And then part of the intrigue is that there are some demons that are lower level that if you level up to level 99 are fucking monsters. I mean, in Strange Journey, Doppelganger is one of the most disgusting demons there is, and it's only level like 30 or 40. And if you can get that up to level 99, you can basically get bosses to defeat themselves for you.
I mean, my entire thing is saying I completely don't understand your style of gameplay.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a good nor a bad thing. It just means that I have
Yeah.
a completely different experience when I play these games.
For me, like, I can't see how someone could just get the strongest demon. Like, outside of some of the newer games like Persona and whatnot, I can definitely see people just getting the strongest demon and beating your way through. But how many times is that the case of it's just a second play, like it's just another playthrough of the game on New Game Plus where you already have the demons unlocked and you're just making your way through?
For me or for most people? Because for me, it's the first playthrough. I don't really do New Game Pluses. I just make a new file.
Like,
I did a whole file of Persona 5 on hard mode with nothing but a Jack Frost once.
wow.
Just because I could.
Okay, how much grinding just regular grinding do you do in Shin Megami Tensei games?
Regular grinding? Basically 0.
Okay, yeah, I've barely like the only time I've ever had to grind in Shin Megami Tensei is in Soul Hackers, which is just grinding Mage.
Which even then you don't really have to grind too much.
Yeah, you don't have to. It's literally only if I need money, so I'm gonna get some Mage so I can sell for money.
I think I'm too familiar with these games to really give like a newbie.
Yeah.
To give like a fresh perspective, because to me when I think about Soul Hackers and I think about grinding and stuff, I think, well, mostly I just bully demons into joining me and then I fuse them together.
I feel like one of the things with Soul Hackers is I feel that some of the negotiations aren't as consistent as in some of the more recent ones, but that might just be coming off a Strange Journey because.
Soul Hackers negotiations.
Because in Strange Journey, like the conversations are always consistent in regards to race and whatnot. You just got to remember which race likes certain things based off your mood and your affinity, like based off the mood and your alignment, and then you can basically figure out the best ways to respond to demons.
Yeah, no, Soul Hackers is completely bananas.
Yeah.
Every encounter, every talking is basically unique, and you never really know for certain what will and will not work. In fact, in some Shin Megami Tensei games,
we need to really do a full do a full podcast on Shin Megami Tensei and Soul Hackers.
Does that mean I actually have to play SMT?
No, it's more interesting if you haven't played SMT.
Sometimes you can give a demon literally everything they ask for, and then they'll say that you shouldn't be such a pushover, and then they'll leave. And then sometimes you'll give a demon absolutely nothing, and then they'll say they like your style.
Yeah, no.
You never know what will not work.
Yeah, there just doesn't feel
that
much.
That sounds like something that is bad game design.
The game is from 2001. I'm cutting it like the smallest bit of slack.
Well, part of the thing with Soul Hackers 2 is it definitely tries to give a more realistic edge to the Shin Megami Tensei formula. Instead of like everything being very formulaic and like you can figure out the formulas of what's going on, like and how certain demons react to certain things. And like every demon is its own person, and that's very much exemplified through the loyalty system that honestly is a pain in the ass to deal with. But
I don't think Soul Hackers broke away from the formula as much as it was made before the formula was established.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
I mean, I think it was Nocturne that pretty much made the formula with the press turn systems.
Part of that was that Nocturne was just so successful that why wouldn't they?
Also, that makes sense. If it works, keep doing it.
I mean, they made 3 versions of Nocturne.
Yeah. And then they had one where they edited out Dante because I guess Capcom didn't want them anymore.
Yeah.
And now that DX2 and Persona 5 have come out and people are like, oh my gosh, Atlas games are mainstream now. Now people are like wiping their nose and they're being like, oh yeah, I happen to know Dante was in one of those games. And then people like me are like, that's not news, man. He's been in one of those games for 15 years now.
I really need to get back to. I really got to get back to Nocturne. Like I really liked it, but I was just not ready. It kicked my ass. I wasn't ready.
If anything, Nocturne's another one of those Shin Megami Tensei games where you can pretty much use whatever the heck you want. I had to Jack Frost for the whole game in that one too, just because I liked Frosty. Any demon
I
is
think one of
viable.
the
All it
well, really, all that matters, and like especially with the press turn games, is that you have something that covers every affinity, and you have your main character with either really high strength or really high magic, and just blow away every demon when it you just use the strongest attacks you can.
Well, I mean, in Nocturne, the most powerful, versatile, and useful move in the entire game was Mana Drain.
That sounds OP.
It is OP because unlike Pokemon, where you have a set number of uses for attacks, in Shin Megami Tensei, every attack required a certain amount of HP or MP. Mana Drain let you use your turn to basically absorb enemy mana, so they have less attacks and you have more attacks. And you can just use this, and you'll never have to go to a healing spring ever again, because you can just keep restoring your own mana, then heal yourself, then get into a fight, then drain your enemies, then heal yourself.
But that goes back to my point where Shin Megami Tensei has a lot of ways for you to break the game in it. It just doesn't explicitly tell you. And you have to work those out for yourself. Because on the surface, Mana Drain looks like a terrible move because it doesn't absorb that much mana. But once you realize how you can use that to your
119
advantage,
isn't much. Out of like 300 something?
Well, first off, it doesn't tell you how much. I guess first off, it doesn't tell you how much mana that your opponent has and how much they have left. So it can create an illusion of you're not actually really doing much. Second, it's not doing any damage to the opponent, so you don't. I'm trying to think how to explain it. Since it's not doing any actual damage to the opponent, it makes you feel like it can be a waste of time when you can just be killing the opponent, because there is a mentality in Shin Megami Tensei of just kill everything as fast as possible so they can't kill you due to the nature of some of the one-hit-kill moves.
Not really, because usually when I play Shin Megami Tensei, I'm thinking about the most effective way of killing the enemy, not the fastest. Plus, I'm also thinking about the fights after this fight, which is why I always use Mana Drain.
Yeah, I think maybe part of it is some of the newer games give you abilities where you can restore mana as you walk.
Some of the newer games like Persona 5, for example, have absolutely no use for pretty much anything. It gives you so many tools to work with that you pretty much are overpowered before you've found the second boss.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we got 5 minutes before podcast wraps up.
Yeah. I think one of the most interesting things about Persona 5 is how broken the skills you get are from the social links. But that can be a talk from another time.
Persona 5 too powerful. Please nerf.
Yeah. I think the toughest dungeon for me was just getting through the space station in one go without leaving, and that was just because I was running out of resources because I didn't plan well enough before going in.
I remember I was boasting about this because when Persona 5 was new, everyone played on normal, and then I chose to play on hard. And the hardest dungeon for me was the very first dungeon because I was trying to get my bearings, and then after that, I beat every other dungeon on the first go.
Yeah, I usually just play games on normal because I don't care to play it on hard. It's there for the people that want it. I'm usually just in for the story and for the cringe.
I played Persona 5 on hard for the story as well. That's part of the reason why I'm so cynical about it.
I think the other difference is that I don't have as much time to play games as you do. So I'm like, I could play it on hard. It might not be that bad. It's like,
fucking ever since I got out of high school, I've had no time at all to do anything. That's why I didn't download Audacity.
Yeah. See, but that's the thing. You play Persona 5 while you were in high school and skipping on your homework.
Yes, and it all worked out for the best because it didn't really come back to bite me at all.
Which probably isn't a good life lesson.
Well, no, the life lesson was that high school is kind of dumb when you can basically skip out on your work for all of it and still somehow make it through.
The public school systems just really need revamped.
I mean, yeah, they're letting Phantom Thieves enter it, aren't they?
Yeah, I know, right? It's terrible.
I can't believe Yayoi went to my high school.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
Hashtag jokes no one gets.
Yeah. Hashtag can't wait for the Danganronpa roleplay podcast.
Oh, that's gonna be
Hashtag-
so much fun.
Yeah.
Hashtag I can almost go to sleep.
I think finally, let's just for the last few minutes, let's give our final thoughts on Pokemon Sun and Moon the anime, based off this conversation.
Oh, Sun and
Or
Moon.
just Sun and-
the
just
anime.
Sun and Moon
I
in
was-
general.
Like
Well,
I can keep talking about Pokemon, but not Sun and Moon. I don't have enough knowledge. All I know is the worst thing about Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was Mega Sableye. Fight me on this.
I haven't finished that game, so I've never been fond of the Mega Pokemon, anyways.
Don't worry, neither was Nintendo.
I think Venusaur is probably my favorite Mega because, Frog Tank.
How about you? Any last thoughts on Pokemon Sun and Moon?
My final thoughts on Pokemon Sun and Moon is I wrote I wrote like a re-story or my own version of Sun and Moon. So that pretty much encapsulates all of my opinions on it right there.
We'll have to share that somewhere. Put it in in the show notes or something.
Like all of it.
Well, just a link to it or something. Um, anyways,
We can probably put it in our video game channel.
yeah, probably.
Yeah, but then you'd read it.
Anyways, my final opinions is Pokemon Sun and Moon, the anime. You should give it a try. I think anybody could enjoy it if they go in with the right mindset. It definitely has a lot of issues in regards to the overall plot, but I don't think Pokemon ever has had that fascinating of an overall plot since the original animes were just kind of formulaic. But Pokemon Sun and Moon definitely has does something interesting with it in regards to its tone, how it tells the stories, and just it's fun. That's all I can say.
Okay, real final thoughts from me is don't play Ultra Sun and Moon, even if you didn't play the original Sun and Moon, because some moron got it in his head to make a lot of Ultra Sun and Moon deliberately ape at the original Sun and Moon. So even if you go in blind multiple times throughout the game, something will happen that'll make you just be really confused.
Wow. That's depressing.
Ultra Sun and Moon.
Will
is
you
just a-
also be really confused if you do play the original Sun and Moon?
No, because you'll know what it's aping at. It's like it's trying to subvert your expectations, but you only would have these expectations because you played the original Sun and Moon. Because the changes
Okay.
are direct results of actions that have just happened. Like, so it's weird. It's like if we edited this conversation, but then we changed a bunch of stuff in it, and we referenced the original conversation in the changes, but you wouldn't know unless you heard the original conversation, and then you went back to listen to the edited one, and you'd think, one, why did you change this? And two, why did you reference the original one?
Yep, that sounds about right.
It's super confusing. I don't know who made... I think Ultra Sun and Moon was made by aliens.
Anyways, we're gonna have to cut this podcast off soon. I've gotta head out, so let's just go to the conclusion. Thank you for listening. This has been Bros in a Landfill. This is our first
Three assholes
just
full of shit.
bunch of assholes full of shit. This has been our podcast on the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime and other topics. You can find us on Discord. We'll put the invite link in the description. And if you liked what you heard, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, leave a like. We have to say this, and because if we don't, no one will actually do it. Oh, and if you do hit that subscribe button, please hit the bell because we want to hear it ring over and over again because it'll make us all very happy.
You will validate our pointless existences.
Yes, it'll give us some.
Don't let
It'll give us
anyone-
some hope that this podcast can take off someday. So maybe we.
Desperation is
So
the
maybe
best
we
selling
can be
point.
popular online and not be nobodies anymore. Anyways, this has been Bros in a Landfill. Signing off.
I'm
Signing off.
signing
Bye.
off.